welcome to THS College Night. I am Jason Kapp, the Director of Student Services, and I'd also like to introduce our staff. Kate Brendo is one of our counselors, along with Heidi Houchins, and also Dr. Winslow is also in our audience. We have a lot of valuable information to cover tonight, and hopefully you picked up the PowerPoint presentation at the entrance. If you did not, please feel free to pick it up at any time. In the guidance office, we assign students to counselors using an alpha system. Students with their last names starting with A, students with their last name starting with A through FO will have me as their counselor. Students with their last name starting with FR through MO will have Mrs. Houchins. And students with their last name starting with MOR through Z will have Mrs. Brendel. This system has worked well for a few years now and has given us a chance to get to know the students better. At this time, I would like to discuss some of the opportunities that are available to students through the Student Services Department. We offer a wide range of counseling and assistance. Academic and personal counseling are available at any time in the guidance office. We also meet individually with every freshman to discuss academics, sports, career and college planning, and services offered in the guidance office. We present to the history classes to all seniors and meet with them about college. And that was done today where we met with all the seniors in the history classes and the government classes and went over the college process and careers beyond Tri-High School after they graduated in May. They should have received a handout today with the information that we talked about, so hopefully they bring that home to you and discuss that and go over that with you in regards to a lot of valuable information that would be helpful. In addition, we meet with all students during their second semester to assist them in choosing classes for the following year. During these meetings, we also discuss career and college options with your student. Some students might be interested in vocational schools, four-year universities, community college, technical schools, or the military. We discuss all these options with your students. In addition to personal counseling, we also offer group counseling, which is available to our students. We have many tutoring options available to the students through the guidance department. We have math labs where students can receive assistance. And we have students available that we can set up tutoring in the guidance office. We also have a math tutor list that is available for students. When your child becomes a senior, there will also be opportunities for scholarships and financial aid. This will be discussed with them along with assistance to applying to college, finding a career, or working beyond graduation. We will be covering many topics this evening. We will be going through the college process and going through the steps that your child needs to take in order to apply to college. We will also be having a representative talking about financial aid. Scholarships will also be discussed and important information in regards to the SAT, SAT, and ACT. And at the end of the presentation, we will also have a college panel where you can ask questions to them. At this time, I would like to introduce to you again Kate Brendo, who is going to discuss the college process.
Okay, so our clicker is back working. So before I start talking today, I just want to show of hands how many parents are in here have a sophomore child. Could you raise your hand? Okay. How many of you are junior parents? are senior parents? Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much for coming here tonight. We really do appreciate it. I know that this college process can seem very overwhelming as a parent. I think it seems very overwhelming for students. So whenever I was speaking to all the kids today in the history classes, I said, please make sure that your parent comes out because they need to help you through this process because it's something that you really need to do together. So I'm so thankful that all of you are here to support your student. The one thing that students often get asked over and over again, and they will continually hear this as they get older, is where are you going to college? Everybody's going to ask your senior that question. And I think it becomes very overwhelming and it puts a lot of pressure on seniors when they're constantly asked that question. But honestly, I think the better question we need to ask our students as their parents is, why am I going to college? I think that's really the big question we need to ask here. Why do they want to go to college? Why is it important to them? When your student is looking at different colleges, they need to think about a variety of different things. Each college campus is unique. Each college campus attracts its own students, environment, culture, so it's very important that they think all of these things through. They need to think to themselves, am I looking for classroom discussions? Am I looking for a rural or urban setting? Am I looking for a certain academic program? What am I looking for? And they need to think about what they want that experience to look like. Because they're, after all, going to be spending 4 years at this different place, sometimes far away from home. You need to think about, too, that the community that each college is in, it shapes the environment of the college experience. So they are in class maybe for 4 or 5 hours a day, but that community that they live in, that's also going to be a big part of shaping them as an individual. So that is very important as well. What I suggest to you in this first part of this process with your student is start developing lists of schools and research different colleges. You could start with about 10 to 15 schools, I would say. The best way to do this is to go online. Every school website has a plethora of information that you can gather. Look at these different schools and say, you know what, does my student meet the academic profile of all of these different schools? Where are they falling? You know, some students have different goals to go to bigger schools, and that's great, but you need to see, is that really truly a fit for your child? So research these schools, develop that list of 10 to 15 schools. I also would suggest, we all go on vacation probably every summer. Think about incorporating different campuses into your trips. Have your student, if you're going to Tennessee, go look at Vanderbilt or go look at different schools and expose your child to this. This is a really good time for you to kind of gauge what that college campus is about. So I encourage you to do that as well. Okay, so when we're talking about that list that I said, about 10 to 15 schools, when your student starts applying, I think it's better to probably shave that down to more like 7 to 8 schools to where they're actually going to apply. Within that list, what I think you need to focus on are a couple reach schools. So a reach school would be something that maybe they're not really meeting the academic profile, but it's a goal. It's something that they want to attend. I would put some reach schools in there. Then I would put some target schools in there. So your student is meeting the academic profile. They have that GPA. They have the test scores. They have everything that pretty much matches up with whatever university they're wanting to attend. And then I would take about 2 or 3 safety schools that they know that they can rely on if their reach or their target schools don't actually pan out for them. So that's kind of where I would start making these lists. And you can start this, guys, you know, sophomore, junior year. I encourage you, this is a very lengthy process to go through. So please just sit down with your child and go over some of this with them together. Okay, for those of you who are sitting here and you're like, you know what, this lady's telling me to make a list. I don't even know where to begin. So right here, this Big Future website, if all of you want to put a little star next to it if you have something to write with, this is my favorite tool as far as researching schools is concerned. So the good thing about this website is, let's say you're sitting in this audience and you say, you know, I really want to go to school for cybersecurity, or my son or daughter does, but I have no idea where to start looking for schools that have this program. This is your best website to look at. This website is affiliated with the College Board, which is SAT's website, so it is a legitimate search engine for you to utilize, and it's free. So I encourage you to look at that. Local college fairs. So there are two coming up, one at SIUE and one at SWIC. The one at SIUE is in the fall on October 22nd. I always am working there, so I'd love to see you guys out there. There will be over 100 different schools there from Illinois and Missouri. It really benefits your student to get out there and get in front of these reps and to let them know how wonderful that your student is. One of the things that colleges they're now doing is they are putting in their holistic process something called level of interest in the school. So they're actually gauging, not all colleges, but some, they're actually gauging how much is your student emailing the rep, going on college visits, seeing them at college fairs, and that's going into the part of who gets admitted and sometimes even for scholarships as well. So that's very important that you try to get in front of some of these people so that your student can introduce yourself. The second one is at SWIC, and that one's a little bit later in the spring, but still a great thing to go to. College open houses. A lot of colleges have open houses, so your senior is allowed 2 college days. But maybe they don't want to use the college days because they have so many different schools that they want to go to. A lot of college open houses, if you just go to like Mizzou's website, for instance, it'll say, hey, these are our preview days. A lot of times those are days that we're off school. In addition, there's also a lot of times they have some Saturday options for you as well, so something to think about. The next thing that is super important is college reps at Triad. So if you could all turn, you should have a supplemental page in your packet. And the first one, there'll be about 15 different colleges on there. Could you all turn to that page in the back for me? So as you can see, those are all the different colleges and universities that are coming to Triad, to this school, to give information to our junior and senior students. So for instance, University of Kentucky was here today, and I sat in there while she talked to the students. We had 6 students show up, which is okay, but it is totally acceptable for your child, if they are interested in the school, remember what I said about that level of interest. So not only when these kids get in front of this rep, she is the one who's making some of these decisions about who gets scholarships and who gets into that school. When kids apply, guys, they're only a piece of paper on a transcript. And they're competing. Last year, University of Kentucky received 20,000 applications, and they had 5,000 come in for their freshman class. So I know your child is more than a piece of paper. So that's why I want you to encourage them to talk to these reps and to get in front of them and to let them know their name, because that really can go very far. I talked about the 2 college and career exploration days. We encourage you to take advantage of these. These are 2 days, I'm sorry, I flipped back to my slides. These are 2 days that your student gets off school to go tour a college campus or to do any type of career exploration. They will need to set something up in advance. We want to make sure this is a legitimate operation, and I explained to all the seniors today how that process works. So in their packet that they got home today, they can tell you how that process works. I'm not going to go through all of that today. Our Student Services webpage also has a plethora of information on it. There is a checklist for freshmen, sophomore, junior, and seniors that you can kind of map off, or check off the things that you should be doing. Our scholarships are on there, our school profiles on there. I'm going to talk more about scholarships here in just a second, but there's a lot of information if you haven't been there. Okay, so let's talk about actually applying to a school. So I was surveying a lot of the seniors today by showing hands, and I would say, how many of you have actually applied for schools? And out of 30 kids, I would say maybe about 5 or 6 raised their hand. The good thing about filling out a college application, some of you may have done it, some of you may never have, it usually only takes, unless there's an essay involved, I would say about 15 to 20 minutes. There's also usually an application fee involved with that process as well. But the application is not hard. It's usually just demographic information, and you can basically find this by going to Mizzou's website, going to SIUE's website, wherever your student is interested in clicking apply. After you hit the apply button and hit submit and pay the fee, your child needs to come into guidance every single time they fill out an application and get a transcript release form. Their transcript then is sent off to the college. Their transcript has everything that they've taken since their freshman year, including their test scores. I will tell you, there are some schools that will not accept ACT or SAT scores off our transcript. I made a really big deal last year to the kids when they took the SAT about picking 4 colleges that they got free score sends to. So if your child applies, I'm going to use UK again just because they're fresh on my mind, they won't take the scores off our transcript. So if your child didn't put and designate UK as one of their choices when they took their SAT, they will need to go on the College Board's website and pay, it's like $13 fee every single time they want to mail those scores off. Just something you need to think about. I would say about 10% of our students use the Common App. The Common App is something that is more new if you haven't heard of it. Basically what it is that you can fill your demographic information out one time on a college application and submit it to multiple schools. Now the reason that a lot of kids don't choose that and they go with the native application is because it's a lengthy process, there is an essay, so it's a little bit more intense. So something to think about with the Common App, but you also do have to pay the fee every single time. So let's say you use the Common App for 10 schools, you would pay the fee 10 different times, just to keep that in mind as well. So that doesn't omit you from paying the fees, unfortunately. I am not going to go through this slide because there is so much information, but this is basically when you're filling out those applications and you're at home, some information that you may not know, like our CEB code and different things that colleges may ask for. That's basically what this is for. Okay, before I turn it over to financial aid, which is another big piece of this process, there's just a couple things that I want you guys to think about. And I talked to the seniors about this today too. So, if your child is thinking about going to a more prestigious school, or any school for that matter, I should say, you need to remind them that their social media creates a footprint, and that colleges are looking at this. So, please remind them that when they're in a competition and they're in a pool, maybe a super competitive school they're looking at, please remind them that what they're putting out there, you know, they'll say, well, Mrs. Brindle, my Instagram's on private. Well, I've been a school counselor long enough to know that kids take pictures of things. There's different ways that stuff leaks out. So just be cognizant of that. I also want to mention to you, most colleges these days, it's a holistic process. A lot of people are always so like, what is the GPA and what is the test score that I need to get into this school? And while that is important, most colleges are looking at a holistic profile of your student. They want to know clubs and activities they've been in. They want to know their GPA and their test scores, but they want to know what is your student going to bring to that community and to that campus. So just because maybe you don't have the best test score or the best GPA, and I will also tell you, colleges post, when they post a lot of GPAs and test scores, even if you're not meeting that, I would still encourage you to apply because this is a holistic process. Sometimes they will overlook some of those things. So that's why I said even those reach schools, it's a good idea to still apply. The last bit I want to just touch on, for those of you who are juniors, seniors, you can still work on this. It's a good idea to think about making a college resume. We do talk about this in some of the classes, but if you're needing a recommendation letter, especially for that Common App, it's a lot easier if you hand your teacher or your school counselor and say, hey, these are the clubs I've been in. This is my volunteer experience. This is who I am, to write that really nice recommendation letter for you. So I really think that encourage them to do that. This college resume can look like a lot of different things. So don't feel like it has to be in a certain format, because a lot of times it's just for the teachers, but it'll save time when that process comes. Okay, so the next part we're going to talk a little bit about is the FAFSA. We have a presenter from SWIFT. Holly is going to talk a little bit about financial aid with you guys, and I'm going to turn it over to her.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Holly Dinkelman. I I work in the Financial Aid, Veteran Services, and Student Employment Office at Southwestern Illinois College. Can you guys hear me okay? And I'm here to speak briefly about the financial aid process, but more so to provide tips to the seniors that are here tonight in preparing you for early FAFSA filing that's going to start October 1st. So the first step in applying for financial aid is filling out the FAFSA form online, the free application for federal student aid. And you're going to do this at FAFSA.gov, and you're going to remember to try to renew this every October 1st. Now, before you start filling out the FAFSA next month, the first step that you can be doing now is creating an FSA ID. That is a unique username and password that's going to be unique to the student and one of the parents. So the student will need to create one of the parents will need to create one. When you're creating these, you need to remember that you need to use separate email addresses, separate phone numbers, otherwise it'll cause issues and problems in trying to use that FSA ID. But why you're creating this is, it's going to allow both the student and the parent to sign the FAFSA, to be able to link your taxes. It also allows the student to do renewal FAFSAs, make corrections, and be able to go on any loan websites. So after you've created this FSA ID, it is going to expedite the process if you can get this created before you complete the FAFSA form. Next month, I know you guys will be having a completion night, so you want to make sure, if you can, complete it prior and have it on you when you come in to do the FAFSA. So what forms will you be filling out when you do this next month? You're going to be doing the 2020-2021 FAFSA. That is for those students who will be attending college fall 2020, spring and summer 2021. And you're going to be using prior tax year. So you're going to be using 2018 taxes and W-2s instead of 2019. This is because they know most people will have their taxes completed by then. But if you're wanting to get a jump start on college, you want to start a semester early, and you're wanting to start summer of 2020, you can be doing the 2019-2020 FAFSA that is currently available on the FAFSA website now, and you're going to be using 2017 taxes and W-2s for that. When filling out the FAFSA, you need to remember it is the student's FAFSA. You're only going to be doing one FAFSA. It's going to start off with the student's information, it will have a section for parents, and then it's going to end with the student information. What types of aid are you applying for when you fill out the FAFSA? Well, the general types of financial aid are the free federal and state grants, student loans, work study, and scholarships. But when you fill out the FAFSA, you're automatically applying for the free federal and state grants. If you think you may not be eligible to receive any of the free grants due to income, still fill it out, because if you know you're going to have to take out loans, or if the student wants to apply for scholarships or to be a student worker at that college, you still have to have a FAFSA on file, so you still want to complete it. Also keep in mind that because you're using 2018 taxes on the FAFSA, if your wages have decreased by 10% or more, or they've gone away completely, make sure you contact the financial aid office when you follow up with them later next year and tell them that the wages are different, you do need more help paying for college because you no longer make what's reflecting off of those 2018 taxes. Ask them about what's called a special condition form. And what you're doing is trying to lower the student's EFC, or what's also known as the expected family contribution number. That is a number that's calculated on the FAFSA from all the financial figures. It's also a number that the colleges use to determine what types of financial aid you'll be eligible for and how much. And I did mention scholarships briefly. Take advantage of applying to scholarships. So many of scholarships sit out there and they get unused because students do not apply. They're free to apply to, free to get. You can get them in addition to grants or loans that you're receiving. Also, besides checking on the college that you're going to go to, apply to their scholarships on their website. But also check in your community. You'd be surprised at how many different clubs, organizations, businesses, restaurants. If you work at Walmart, McDonald's, Airman, Illinois Power, a lot of those places have scholarships. You just have to ask and definitely apply for those. So you may be asking, why do I have to file my FAFSA early now? Why can't I wait closer to getting ready to start college next year? One is because it is a federal form and the money goes fast. It also allows you time to be able to plan early. Also, if you wait too late to apply, because financial aid is a process, from the point in time of you filling out the FAFSA until you getting awarded and having that money there ready for you to start college, there's a lot that happens in between that time frame. So if you wait last minute, you may end up having to pay something out of pocket for tuition fees and books to help you get started. So always try to apply as early as you can, soon or thereafter, October 1st of every year. Which parent information will you be using when you complete the FAFSA form? The students need to make sure they use the biological or adoptive parents' information. There will be a list of dependency questions on the FAFSA that they're going to have to answer. If they say no to all of those questions, it automatically prompts they have to use parents' information. If it comes to a case where a student's parents are separated or divorced, then the question is, well, which parent's information do you use? You first go with the parent that the student lives with and use their information. If the student says, well, I don't live with one parent more than the other, well, then go with which parent supported you the most in the last 12 months, and then use that parent's information. If they say, well, I didn't really, one didn't support me more than the other, then go with the parent or parents who made the least amount of money. But know that whatever parent you go with, if they are now remarried, you have to also use your step-parent's information on the FAFSA. When you get to the tax part of the FAFSA, it's going to ask you to link to the IRS or be able to use the data retrieval tool. You want to make sure you always attempt to use this on the FAFSA. If you're able to successfully do this, it's going to allow you to link your tax information electronically from the IRS website onto your FAFSA. If you're not able to do so, then you'll need to hand type that information in. But be prepared that the college is going to more than likely ask for copies of the first 2 pages of your federal 1040 taxes, signed and dated by the parent and or the student, whoever could link. And if the parents were self-employed, be prepared to provide a copy of your Schedule C as well. When filling out the FAFSA, you want to try to be as accurate and precise as possible. Because if you end up getting flagged for verification at the college you're going to, and you're going to have to fill out more paperwork and provide documents, if you put something different on the FAFSA compared to what you put on that paperwork, you can guarantee it's going to flag you more paperwork you're going to have to fill out, because now the financial aid office is going to need clarification. You're saying one thing on the FAFSA but something different on the paperwork, so they need to ask you for more information to get that clarification. When filling out the FAFSA, if you're not sure what answers to put to the questions, there will be a little question mark icon off to the right side of those questions. That's going to be there to assist you if you don't know how to answer a question or what to include on the FAFSA or not to include. After you've done your FAFSA, you want to end up following up with the college of your choice. I understand most of you haven't made that decision yet, but when you have, it's going to vary from different colleges of when they're going to have that FAFSA downloaded. I know for SWIC, we're not going to download the FAFSA that you'll be doing next month until probably January, February at the latest. So sometime by early next year, be contacting the college if you made the decision, or when you do make the decision, contact them, follow up, make sure they received your FAFSA, that it's been received incorrectly and it's not been rejected due to missing signatures. Also, have your list of questions lined up to follow up with. How are you going to know about when you're going to be awarded? Do you have a student portal or an email that you have to go onto? Are they going to send you letters? Do you have to go on something to accept your financial aid? what else do you need to do in this process to eventually get yourself your financial aid and awarded so you're ready to start college. Also take advantage of those scholarships on their website as well. When following up with colleges, a good idea for the students is to ask the financial aid office about authorization to release information form. If the student is wanting the parent to call in or walk into the office to ask information about their son or daughter's financial aid, they're going to need to give us authorization to do that. Due to FERPA rules and regulations, we're not allowed to speak to anybody except the student unless they've authorized us to do so. So for a SWIC, we have them fill out a form, the student has to fill it out, they have to turn it into us. We put up a comment, so if a parent calls or walks in, we automatically check, because we put it in our portal, check to make sure we have authorization to speak to you. The student's going to remember they need to renew this every year as well. A website that's good to know is studentaid.ed.gov. That is a wealth of knowledge about anything financial aid, from thinking about college, going through college, graduating and paying off college. So again, it's studentaid.ed as in education, .gov as in government. Another one is isac.org, isac.org. That is the one that is over the free Illinois State MAP grant. So that's another good website to go to. Just to finalize, the main steps for the FAFSA process is creating that FSA ID using a password, completing the FAFSA, and then following up with the college. A few things I would like to then close out on is I know you'll be having a FAFSA completion next month. If you're not able to make it that night, I did want to let you aware of an event that SWIC will be having. On October 1st, we're having a Parent 101 and FAFSA completion night. So from 6, it's going to be from 6 to 8. From 6 to 7, it's going to be a welcome and financial aid presentation. From 7 to 7:30, it's going to be a program for high school students. And then that whole time from 6 to 8, we're going to be in the financial aid office assisting students and parents with completing the FAFSA form online. So please feel free and welcome to attend that event if you can. You don't have to go to the presentations if you don't want to. You can come into the financial aid office and get assistance. If you're not able to make it October 1st to the SWIC event or to the Triad night, know you can always come into the financial aid office at SWIC. We're in the Information Science Building in room 1035 on the first floor. We'll be able to be more than happy to help you fill out your FAFSA form or answer any questions that you might have. You can always call us at 618-222-5288. We are there Monday through Thursdays, 8 to 5, and Fridays, 8 to 4. Also, besides being financial aid representatives, we're also veteran services representatives. So if a parent is a veteran and you're wanting to transfer your military benefits to the student, say they're wanting to go to SWIC and you're wanting to transfer the benefits so that the student is able to use it to help them pay for college. Or if the parent is a veteran wanting to take classes at SWIC, don't hesitate to call our office and come in, and we'll be more than glad to help you with getting that process started. So that concludes my presentation. I want to thank everybody for your time, and I want to wish all of the students the best of luck. So thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to talk briefly about scholarships. As we know, scholarships are free money, and we all like to get as much free money as possible. One of my jobs in guidance is I am scholarship coordinator. So I run our scholarship spreadsheet that's online. If you go to Student Services and click on Available Scholarships, it will take you to a spreadsheet where I have all of the current scholarships listed. And I say current scholarships that are sent to me. There's so many out there that I can't possibly include every single scholarship, but I do have some ones that are sent to me. Scholarship applications are typically going to require that the student know their GPA, their class rank, their SAT scores. If this is information that they're unsure of, they can come into the counseling office and speak with their counselor. We can get that information. It usually will have a resume asking for their work and volunteer experience. There may be an essay, or there could be a series of guided questions that the student will have to answer. Some may require a letter of recommendation, and some may require a transcript. Mrs. Grendel talked about that process. And many of them will actually have an online application. If you look at our website, our database right now, there's multiple ones listed in this month where the student can actually apply online. I always tell the students the best way to improve your chances of getting a scholarship is 1, keep your grades up, 2, be involved, 3, volunteer, and then 4, be prepared to actually work and put in the effort. It takes a lot of work and effort to fill out these applications, but I promise it is worth it. So how do I find them? Like I said, we run a Google Sheet that's connected to our webpage. So if you just go to the Triad High School website, click on Student Services, there's a link that says Available Scholarships, and a Google Sheet will appear that has the scholarships that are sent to me. I also put them in the announcements. They're in the daily written and verbal announcements. They're posted in Knight's Landing, and then if they come into guidance, I also have them on a bulletin board, some of the ones that are current and their due dates. But I definitely recommend using that website the most because I have it filled out basically for the remainder of the year based on the ones that I got last year. So they can go and look and see which ones are typically available in September, which ones are typically available in October, and so on. And they can start looking at that criteria and figuring out which ones they can apply for. Because not every scholarship is about having the best GPA or having the best class rank. Some of them are based on things like purely service or community involvement. So there's lots of different types of scholarships out there. The students just need to take the time to look and kind of see the ones that fit them. And please never pay to apply for a scholarship. If you run into something online that says you need to pay to apply for this scholarship, it's probably a scam. Scholarships are free money given by organizations, so please do not pay. I included in the packet just some examples of some of the local scholarships that I get every year so that students can kind of see what some of the different ones look like and the different criteria. These are 4 popular ones that come into our office every year of local scholarships. Now I will say the local ones I usually don't start getting until around January. Usually January to April, I'm getting most of our local organizations are sending me their applications. And I do really push those in the announcements, both verbal and written, because these are our local organizations that want to help our students. And this is the time of year where I really start to emphasize to the students to please apply, apply, apply. Because what happens is students assume everyone else is applying and they're not going to get a scholarship, so they don't do it. And then one particular year, the Lions Club, who gives a scholarship every year to 2 boys and 2 girls, had to issue the scholarship to 4 girls because we did not have a single boy apply for it. If one boy just would have applied that year, he would have been guaranteed money. So I emphasize over and over to please do not assume that you're not going to get one. Please apply. If you remotely fit the criteria, apply for it. It does take work, it does take effort, but these are local groups that really want to help our students. One of my other duties in the office is I am the PSAT coordinator. That is the pre-standardized assessment test. Many of you in the audience probably, like myself, took the ACT when you were growing up to prepare for college. That is still in existence, but here in the state of Illinois, we now take the SAT through the school. So starting in the 9th and 10th grade, we administer the PSAT, which is essentially a practice version for the students to take to prepare for their junior year. This October, I will be giving what's called the PSAT NMSQT, which stands for the National Merit Standard Qualifying Test, because this particular test enters students into the National Merit Scholarship Competition. By entering this program, students who have scored very high on this particular test have a chance to move through different stages and possibly win scholarship money and receive national recognition. This test is typically taken by our high-achieving juniors, but really it is open to any junior who wants to take it as a practice opportunity. And it's based on critical reading, math, and writing skills. So approximately every year, about 1.6 million students take this particular test across the nation. And to typically move forward into the process of trying to win scholarships, these are students who typically test in the 96th percentile or higher. For 2019, approximately 50,000 students will qualify for recognition, and a little over 8,000 will ultimately end up winning some type of financial reward. Typically, to be a finalist and win a reward, students will have to score in the 98th or 99th percentile. So they do have to score very high. But if they do win an award, they can either get a one-time National Merit Scholarship, or they could possibly also win a college-sponsored scholarship, which could range up to $500 to $10,000. So it is worth it to take the test to see if they can potentially qualify. Or like I said, it is worth it just for anyone to have another opportunity to practice taking that SAT. So if your student is interested in taking this, we are currently registering for this test in guidance. The test is going to be on October 16th. It will be in the morning at the high school. We'll start at 8 a.m. and it will run to approximately 11:30 a.m. It is $17. We are just charging what College Board, we have to purchase the test because this is an optional test, so we're just charging for cost of the test. But the student does need to sign up in guidance with payment by next next Tuesday, the 17th. So I have to end registration about a month before the test because I actually have to order the test to make sure it gets here on time. I did speak to the AP language classes about this particular test. So the students got some information on it, and we have been having some students already sign up for it. So if your student is interested, like I said, it's any junior. It will be on October 16th, but they do need to register by next Tuesday, the 17th, in guidance with Mrs. Gibson, our secretary, and they will need to have payment of $17 at the time of registration. Scores will be available online through their College Board portal approximately 6 weeks after the test, and then I typically get hard copies in late January or early February. Now, if you're a parent of a sophomore, all sophomores will be taking the PSAT 10 this year. You do not need to register for this. It is automatically registered through the school. This is a state test that we give. It could potentially be April 14th, or it may possibly be earlier in March. We're trying to figure that out right now. There's some issues with our spring break schedule. But for right now, it's tentatively April 14th. But it could change, and we will definitely get that information to you if it does change. But this is, like I said, just another practice SAT that you do not need to register for, because we will take care of that. All sophomores will be taking this. But if you're a junior and want to take the PSAT and MSQT, please just make sure you register by next Tuesday. And I am going to turn things back over to Mrs. Brendel, who is going to talk to you about the actual SATs.
Okay, so I am just going to briefly talk to you a little bit about the SAT. As Mrs. Houchin said, I know a lot of us in the audience probably took the ACT, and a lot of us took it on a Saturday somewhere, and we had to sign up ourselves and go to Collinsville or Highland. I see lots of people shaking their heads. Well, it's not like that anymore. And just like Mrs. Houchin said, you do not need to do anything to register your junior child to take the SAT. Again, the date will be April 14th or March 25th. Those are the two dates that we're looking at. Again, if you're a junior parent, remember what I talked about with those 4 free score sets. Please talk to your child about where they're thinking they want to send those scores to, because that is a lot of money that they will be saving by picking out schools that they're actually interested in. So when they take the SAT, every single time, they can bubble in 4 different schools that those scores will be automatically sent to. So just make sure they're not willy-nilly putting down things that they just think, there's even schools all over the place. So just make sure they're making informed choices. For seniors in the audience, some of them, I talked to them today about either retaking the SAT or taking the ACT. At SIUE, for instance, if you have a 23 on the ACT, you are eligible for an automatic scholarship of $16,000 over 4 years. So that is not $16,000 for 4 years if you have a 23. So that's why when I talk about how important it is to do this research, so if you're a kid and you took the ACT and you're sitting sitting at a 22, and you could just get a 23, 1 point higher, that's saving you a lot of money. So it's just very important that you think about, should I be retesting? And those dates are in the packet here as well. Colleges take, guys, either the ACT or the SAT. It doesn't matter, they don't have a preference. So I would say whatever your child feels more comfortable with. The ACT has more geometry. I'm going to kind of talk about the difference so you know which one your child is better at, but either test is okay for college purposes. Now when we take the SAT here in April or March, just to let you know what the test looks like, because a lot of us aren't familiar with it. It's a 3-hour test plus an essay. The essay is something that we give here at the high school. It tests your child in reading, writing and language, math with a calculator portion, and then there's a non-calculator portion. The total points range from a 400 to a 1600 being a perfect score. And as you can see, with the reading and writing and math, I have both of those sub-scores broken down so you can see how that total is computed. So a little bit of difference between the ACT and the SAT, because people ask me that a lot. Basically, the SAT does have a stronger emphasis on math, whereas the ACT has a stronger emphasis on science. So this is important to know wherever your strong suits are at. SAT does provide more time for a question, but the ACT has more geometry-based questions. The SAT does focus more on algebra. The ACT does have more questions in a shorter amount of time where you do get a little bit more time with the SAT. And I do have a comparison chart in your packet if you'd like to read more about that. Lastly, SAT test prep. We are very fortunate in our community to have a lot of good resources for test prep. Number one, Khan Academy. That is through the SAT College Board. It is a free test prep college that can help you with your SAT. So the wonderful thing about that is that you can actually upload, your child can upload their PSAT 10 scores into this College Board portal and practice off of what they did poorly in and what they did well in. And practice, it will gear the SAT test prep practice to that. We also have the College Prep Station in Maryville, which is a phenomenal resource. We have brochures in the back, and this is also in your packet. Sylvan has some test prep. I have SIUE and SWIC. Both have prep classes, and those are in your packet and also online. And then just stay tuned to the website here at Triad, because I'll be posting some more information on there as well. Okay, so that concludes this part of the presentation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call up our college reps, which we have SWIC, SIUE, McKendree, and University of Nebraska Lincoln. And I'm going to ask them some questions so you can hear from actual college reps. What are they looking for? How do they accept students? And different things like that. So it's a pretty valuable piece to listen to. If you guys want to come on up. Okay, so here are different reps that you guys have that we see. We have University of Nebraska, McKendree, SWIC, SIUE, like I said. So the first question I'm going to ask them is to just briefly describe their college, their class size that's typical, what is their tuition cost, and what are their popular majors. And if you have anything distinctive about your college, that would be great as well.
Wonderful, I get to go first. Hi everybody, my name is Steve Howell. I flew in from Lincoln this morning. No, actually, I just drove over from Edwardsville this evening. I am the regional representative for the University of Nebraska. I work with kids from southern and central Illinois, as well as eastern Missouri. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln is the smallest state school in the Big Ten, with a total undergraduate population of just around about 20,000. Technically speaking, Missouri State is actually larger in student population than the University of Nebraska. We are a Research 1 Carnegie-rated institution. We are home to this really poor guy from Omaha, the Oracle of Omaha, who's an alum. Also Johnny Carson, for you old people in the room, is an alum. The university itself has 147 majors. We don't have time for all that. So I will mention that actuarial science, which is now topping engineering in all fields for the highest immediate graduate pay of about $117,000 a year, one of our majors. We also offer a huge cohort of engineering programs, including mechanical and electrical. We also offer doctoral programs and all of that. Again, I mentioned our business school with Mr. Buffett in mind. We have, as well as, we're the only school in the Big Ten, with all due deference to my friends in the Big Ten, with one-on-one academic coaching for every single student in every single subject, regardless of major. The University of Nebraska is really dedicated to getting the right students to campus and in keeping those students there. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Alexis Higgs, and I'm one of the admission counselors at McKendree University, so it took me 15 minutes to get over here. I live in Lebanon, right by McKendree. We have about 2,400 undergraduate students, so just a little bit less. We're a small, private, liberal arts school, and liberal arts just means that no matter what your major is, you'll take classes from a variety of disciplines, and that's just to make sure that when you graduate, you're well-rounded and you're ready to go out to the workforce with your communication skills, interpersonal skills, critical thinking skills. We have an average class size of 14 to 1, so that means on average there will be about 14 students in your classes, but we cap all of our classes at 30, and they sit more like 25 to 28 for general education classes. But when you get into your major, you might have 5, 6, 7 kids in class, and it's really special. You get to build awesome relationships with faculty members. We don't have any teaching assistants teaching our undergraduate classes. We have all faculty and professors teaching. We have a student success center that works one-on-one with first-year students, and then you also get a faculty advisor that goes along with your major. Our education and business schools are definitely the most popular at McKendree, but we do have cybersecurity, which I heard you mention, new this year, and it's a very, very booming major. If you like math, if you like computers, if you're interested in working like the business side and the computing side of security. You can get government jobs, jobs with Scott Air Force Base. We have interns working there right now. So tuition is, we don't have in-state and out-of-state. We are a private school, so it's $29,540 for the year, which I know it sounds like a lot, but we do have academic scholarship, and our academic scholarships at McKendree, if you qualify for them, you get them. You don't have to apply for them. We do have other scholarships that you can apply for, but as far as academic scholarships go, you don't have to apply for them. So I think that's it, but I'll be here after to answer more specific questions about the admission requirements and things like that. But like Ms. Brindle said, it's holistic. It's not you have to have this GPA, this ACT or SAT to get in.
Okay, hey, I am Jenna Poindexter. I am an academic advisor at SWIC, Southwestern Illinois College. So I'm a little bit different here because I'm community college and not from a university. But we also have pretty small class sizes. We also have a lot of different programs that are available that I think make SWIC kind of unique. So if you're looking to go to a four-year college, you can also come to us first, complete an associate in arts or an associate in science, and then go on to another four-year institution as well. Save a little bit of money, stay at home in the area before you move on to somewhere else. We also have a lot of different career-oriented associate in applied sciences. Our health sciences are really popular. Our nursing program is very competitive. We have physical therapist assistant, radiology technology. So we have a lot of different opportunities. We also have cybersecurity. So those are a lot of different opportunities that you can still get at a community college before you move on to somewhere else, or get a 2-year degree and then go on into the workforce as well. Our tuition is about $3,900 a year, so it's a little bit more affordable than most 4-year institutions, so it's a nice stepping stone if you're looking to go on that path as well. Our class size, I don't know if I said it, is about 18 to 1, so still pretty small. There's also a lot of the instructors that teach at SWIC teach at other institutions in the area too, so you're still getting the same quality of education by still being at a community college for your first 2 years.
Hello everyone, my name is Kayla Staley and I work for SIUE. I was their Chicago Regional and just moved out here, so I'm now working on campus. As far as SIUE goes, it's about 25 minutes, so nice and close. That being said, if you want to be a commuter student, you not have to worry about the room and board costs. Just starting with overall numbers, it's about $9 grand for 15 credit hours a semester, and then there's about a few grand in student fees. SIUE is one of the only schools in the state of Illinois that this amount does cover all your textbooks as long as you're okay with renting, so that will save you a lot of money. And then, and that's not including if you get anything from FAFSA, any of our scholarships. As far as scholarships go, the big one is the most competitive is our Meridian. If you get that, everything is covered. It's a full ride. And all you have to do is just fill out the supplemental profile online. And then we do have other scholarships as well. They're very big on looking at like test scores. So if you have any questions about those, I'll be over there after. As far as popular majors go, we do have direct entry for some of our majors. So engineering is huge, nursing is huge, education, psychology, business. And then overall requirements, so it's pretty cut and dry. We look for an 18 on the ACT or a 960 on the SAT, and then a 2.5 GPA. That's for general admission. And then when it comes to being holistic, that comes in when looking at the Meridian scholarship and choosing who will be selected for those.
So that was going to be my next question for them. What are your schools typically looking for? I know we talked about the holistic admission process, but what is the typical GPA and test score that you are looking for getting in to be admitted to each of your institutions?
For the University of Nebraska, typically what we're looking for general admission, this is going to exclude actuarial science, this is going to exclude engineering. But typically we see 21 ACT is admissible. Our scholarships really start, however, at a 24 ACT, or SAT equivalent. So that's important. The average GPA of our applicant pool last year was about a 3.2, which is normal. For the St. Louis region, we're really happy to say that the admit rate last year of the students who applied and the students who were admitted was 98.7%. So we were very generous with that piece. Our engineering programs are going to require a 24 ACT or better. God love our other brethren in the Big Ten, but we're really happy that we're able to provide this open access, and that is direct entry. That's a really important piece. If you're asking colleges, if I apply to your school, I want to be an engineer, am I admitted as a pre-engineering student or a direct entry engineering student? And SIUE's nursing program, direct entry, is awesome. I used to work there, so I can say that. The overall, for us, our admissions process is incredibly swift. For a student who submits all of their information, it takes us 72 hours or less to make an admissions decision. And then subsequently, about 48 hours after that, a scholarship decision. I would recommend that you all look, and we've all mentioned with our schools, most of us, for sheer ease, we tend to give scholarships up front because it cuts down